Bro, regardless of the type of addiction that you're currently trying to quit, you gotta understand this fundamental truth. And that is quitting addictions are not real. Yes, sir, let me say that again. Quitting an addiction is not real. Because you need to stop thinking about trying to quit an addiction in the mindset of quitting anything. What you really need to be doing is actually trying to replace that addiction. So without further ado, let me break this bitch down real quick like a brick for y'all. So first thing you need to understand, man, is that us as humans are creatures of habits. We are literally naturally born addicts. We're addicted to breathing, we're addicted to eating, we're addicted to just surviving. So whatever you feed yourself over and over and over and over and over again through repetition will become your natural default state of being. Whatever it is, you are always going to be an addict. You can be an addict to going to the gym, you can be an addict to drugs, you can be an addict to pornography, you can be an addict to alcohol. What do you want your addiction to be? A lot of people will never actually realize that when it comes to quitting addictions. They just want to quit all this stuff. But you as a human psychologically need something to be addicted to. And instead of trying to change your own psychology and physiology, some of these things are just natural laws. Learn how to manipulate them towards your favor. And that's when it comes to the whole concept of replacing addiction. See, when you try to just quit an addiction cold turkey or do this, and do that, you might have some success for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, months, couple months. But all in all, you're always in that identity kind of state of being where you're trying to quit something, you're trying to avoid something, you're trying to escape from something. That's not a way to live, no matter what it is. That's just generally not a way to live. Running away from something, hiding away from something, being in a state of almost fear. Oh shit, the addiction's coming to get you. The boogeyman is here. You want to live your life like that? You always feel like you're kind of constrained. Let's say you're addicted to alcohol. You're 4 months sober. You go out with your friends and then you see all these drinks and it feels like you're just like, oh man, I wish I could do that. Oh man, I wish I could do that. You're fighting your internal state of being because you have not replaced and shifted your internal state of being towards something better, towards something bigger. And when you do that, you can't even correlate to those lower level desires anymore, to those things that you're quote unquote addicted to before. Because now you're addicted to something bigger, something better. It replaces that position within your internal state of being. Think of it almost like this. You have a big brick building. You're trying to take one of the bricks out. When you take one of the bricks out, it becomes shaky. If you ever played Jenga, the game where you have these wooden bricks and you're trying to stack them up on top of each other with all your friends, it's like that. Your identity becomes shaky. And your body and mind will always go to the path of least resistance. So what has it known over years and years and years and years of you programming it to do? That addiction that you're trying to quit. You took it out, but then now it's gonna freak out because you're gonna be in a situation where that energy being built up, whatever type of energy it is, maybe you have a sexual addiction with pornography or just chasing girls, hooking up with girls. When you feel that surge of energy, when you feel that energy looking to be expressed in some outlet, some way, shape, or form, and you've trained it to do it in that way, through wanking it to pixels on the screen, to swapping away on Tinder, trying to find a thought for the night, it's going to naturally revert back to that because you have not replaced it. You have not given it another option. Think of it also in another analogy. If someone is trying to lose weight, they're fat, they're overweight, and they're just trying to quit eating bad food, they haven't replaced it with healthy meal habits, they're just trying to cut their food, cut the junk food, not actually replace it with something that's more nutritious for their body. Whenever they have that feeling of hunger, they naturally have been so programmed to go towards Pizza Hut, McDonald's, this, that, all the junk food that they've been consuming for years and years. Because that hunger, that energy is looking for a way to be expressed through satiating it, whether that's through food, whether that's through fasting, this and that. It's just different ways to express that same energy, to sublimate that same energy. You've just been programmed to do it in this way. So guess what? When you quit that addiction, that's why you always fall back into the rut. Because you have not shifted your internal state of being and replaced it with something bigger and better. Are you picking up what the fuck I'm putting down, man? This is some sauce. This is some psychological game for your motherfucking brain. You ain't gonna be hearing about this other places. Everyone's talking about the best way to quit addiction, the best way to quit this, the best way to quit that. You can't quit it. You can't quit that addiction. You need to replace it. That brick that you took out made it shaky. You need to put a new brick in, a more solid brick in, a more productive brick in, to keep this whole station, this whole building in alignment. You're always going to be chasing for something. You're always going to be looking for something if it's empty. Do you understand what I'm saying? This is a huge shift in your mindset. Once you actually grasp it, you're not going to be quote unquote addicted to any of those bad habits anymore. You're going to be addicted to the good habits, which is something you want. You constantly repeat those good habits over time, so it compounds and it becomes your identity. We don't want to be used by the ego, but we want to use the ego towards our advantage, because the ego will defend. It's like a force field of your identity. It will defend that state of being that you've programmed over time. The ego can either block you from actually tapping into your true potential, or actually defend you from protecting yourself and being in alignment towards your true purpose. Crazy how things work, huh? You always hear ego is an enemy. You got to quit addictions, this and that. Flip that. Remember, I've always said this on this channel, especially on this channel. The spiritual is the highest realm of reality. The mental is the middle layer, and the physical is the effect of all of them. However, on the spiritual plane of reality, everything is inverse. You get more spiritual knowledge by unlearning. Polar opposite to what you do on the physical. You gain more information to get more knowledge. You lose the illusions on the spiritual plane to gain more gnosis, inner knowledge. And the same kind of rules apply to quitting addictions. You don't quit the addiction, you further go into the addiction, but you flip the script towards something bigger and better that replaces it. This is kind of the inversion of life in itself. Oh man, there's some ants on the bucket hat. Come on, man, come on. But everything is an inverse of that. So you have to learn how to manipulate that towards your favor. Replace those addictions with something that you actually know will become a productive part of yourself. And how do you do that? What are the addictions? What are the things that you need to replace it with? Well, think about that version of you that you know is supposed to be what you are right now, but there's certain blockages in the way. That person is not quote unquote free from addictions. He's just chose the right addictions. Is it the gym? Is it spiritual practices? Is it a business? Is it this? Is it that? You have to fully immerse yourself into that addiction right then and there. Repeat it over time. So every time your mind gets that trigger, that surge of energy of whatever it is, you're hungry, you're horny, you're this, you're that, it shifts into that way of expressing it, which will actually give you benefits down the line. The type of thing that you actually want to put your energy towards, the things that you want to be addicted towards, have to be centered around delayed gratification that will give you more benefit in the back end. All the things that are quote unquote destroying your life are all due to the fact that you are looking at things just at the surface level, just at the present moment. You're not looking past it and into the future. Wanking into pixels on the screen, watching porn, smashing this random girl that you saw, eating junk food, drinking alcohol, taking drugs, all that stuff is quote unquote pleasurable in the moment. But you know for a fact you're gonna feel hungover and like a piece of shit afterwards. You're gonna feel depleted and drained after you're wanking it. You're gonna feel disconnected and weird in a state of like, I don't know who I am after just sleeping around with random people. You're gonna feel nasty after eating junk food. Like, that's the back end what you get. Things that are a little bit more difficult up front but give you more reward in the back end is what you want your addictions to be. The gym, Some people, in my opinion, when you first start off the gym, you just don't like the pain it comes with. But some people, after a certain while, they enjoy that pain because they know it gives them true fulfillment afterwards. Always make your goal towards fulfillment rather than pleasure, because fulfillment will always have a byproduct of pleasure at the end. Pleasure will never let you be fulfilled. Let me say that again. If you choose fulfillment, if you focus on fulfillment, you'll get pleasure as a byproduct. If you focus on pleasure, you'll never feel true fulfillment in your life. That's a bar. Write that down. Tattoo it on it if you got to, bro. That is the things you need to be addicted to. The things that will give you true fulfillment, mentally, physically, and spiritually. That's what's gonna make you feel like, damn, man, I'm on the right path. I'm on the right journey. I'm on this right course and trajectory of my life. I don't feel like I'm being controlled by my senses, by society, by this, by that. You feel like you're actually in charge. Shout out to Captain Phillips. I'm the captain now, motherfucker. Your addictions are the captains when you are letting it use you. When you actually use your addictions towards your advantage, you're the one in charge. You can't get rid of them. You know what I mean? So might as well learn how to use them. It's like trying to say, oh man, I hate the weather right now. I hate how it's always raining, even though it's not raining right now. I hate the weather. I hate it's always raining here and there. Use that towards your advantage. How do you use it towards your advantage? Do things that would be beneficial within the rain that you couldn't do in the sunny time. I don't know what that is. It's just a weird kind of analogy in my head right now. But you have to use the natural laws of the universe towards your advantage. They're not going to change. They're permanent. Addictions will be permanent. This is what you get as a human. This is what you get when you're incarnated into the state of being. Of course, the spiritual path is about letting you learn how to transcend beyond that. But when you're still here on the physical plane, you got to learn how to use this properly. You have to learn the manual. You have to learn the instruction guide towards this human vessel and this psychological mind. Once you learn the instructions towards it, the soul can be the one that chooses the addiction, not your senses. Your soul. Your soul knows your true purpose. Your spirit knows your true purpose. It knows what it needs to constantly do, repeat over time in order to get to that state of being where your desired state of reality, whatever you want to call it, your higher self, is your natural default setting, state of being. Someone who's addicted to this, addicted to that, but is productive, but is towards their true purpose. They might be addicted to a state of non-addiction. See how it's contradictory? The spiritual plane will flip everything upside down. You're addicted to non-attachments, which are all the things that we talk about on this channel, on the main channel, the Law of Detachment, in the private Patreon community. Shout out to the fucking private Patreon community. If you enjoy videos like this, man, if you enjoy this channel, the main channel, you're truly doing yourself a disfavor. I'm not saying this because of me. You're doing yourself a disfavor by not joining up into the private Patreon community, because within there you get access to exclusive content going more in depth and more in detail on all these topics that you enjoy, as well as full guides, in-depth occult lectures, and most importantly, within our upper tier, our highest tier membership, the Philosopher's Circle, you'll get access to our monthly masterminds. Yes, so we're doing 2 live calls every single month where we hop on a call with me and all the community of like-minded men who are also on this path of self-mastery, where we get to talk about these types of topics more in depth and more in detail, bounce off ideas of each other, generate new concepts, and actually be around a supportive community who are actually on that same path with you, who are in the arena with you towards becoming the best version of themselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. This is another way that you can quote unquote quit your addictions and replace them. You're addicted to being around the wrong types of people, the wrong environments. So guess what? All those bad habits are further produced into your state of being. But when you shift your environment, whether that's your day-to-day living or just being in these online communities, you start to shift your identity, you start to shift your state of being, your perspective, and guess what? New addictions will form. Those productive addictions will form. And this is how you shift your state of being. You shift your identity towards what you truly want to be, towards your true purpose, towards your true potential and your true essence. I'm telling you, man, this stuff is powerful. I'm not just kind of doing masterminds, just doing masterminds. I know the power of them. And the people in there have been seeing great results within their mental, physical, and spiritual pursuits. So If you want to check all that out, man, it's posted in the pinned comment of this video. But also within the pinned comment of this video is going to be application forms to personalized coaching, where you work with me one-on-one to help figure out and situate certain ways that we can elevate your life on all planes of reality, as well as links to book one-time one-on-one consultations with me, where we chop up any things that can help you on your journey towards become the best version of yourself, as well as a free community Discord server, weekly newsletters. All that good stuff is posted in the pinned comment of this video, so make sure you run it up, man. Run it up. But what I was saying is, for the people that are messing with this channel, that are messing with the main channel and all that good stuff, man, you got to realize that you are further along your path of psychological maturation. You're not going to be able to sit down and watch a video where I go for usually about 30 minutes, man. I love doing these kind of solo podcasts out here in the field, in the flesh. You know how we do it out here on What the Fulati, the second channel. Let me know if you want this channel to just remain like this at all times, because I do. I love doing this. But you guys are further on the path of psychological maturation. So you'll be able to see and pick up what I'm trying to say. Hopefully I'm taking this condensed topic of quitting addictions and actually compartmentalizing that into a way where it clicks for you. You cannot quit the addiction, but you can replace them. Come on, man, the snaps are hitting hard. But that in general is what I've used in my life, what I've helped people one-on-one within my coaching program, that I've helped people on the one-on-one consultation calls, as well as the people in the private Patreon community. I've helped them, not only myself, but also other people with this same concept, and it works. I'm not just out here saying shit to just blow smoke out of my ass. Things work. Everything I tell you guys, I've worked on myself, and usually with the people that I work with one-on-one. Replacing your addictions is the only way you transcend above the lower ones right now, because you're always going to be addicted to something. This is literally the setting, the preset of this human body that you're given. Unless you're trying to fully transcend beyond that, which takes time, which takes energy, which takes effort, which takes a spiritual path, which we're always on. You have to just learn how to use it towards your advantage. Stop trying to fight the concepts of being addicted. Use it towards your advantage. Use it towards your growth. Use it towards your evolution. It's a weird concept. I know you might be thinking, this sounds fucking goofy as hell. Replace your addictions. I want to still stay an addict. I want to still stay a junkie. Yes, stay a junkie towards things that are actually going to justify the reason of being addicted towards them. You think someone who's addicted, when I say addiction too, a lot of people have this weird connotation of it. So let me break it down. A lot of people think addiction is towards something where you are, it's when the senses or whatever it is fully takes over your life. Whether it's pornography, whether that's sex, whether that's alcohol, whether that's drugs, whether that's fast food, whether that's whatever it is. It fully takes over your life. Because that's when the senses are the one directing the ship, like I just said. But when the soul is choosing its addictions, these are just basically feeding and nourishing the right parts of your mind, body, and soul towards upgrading and elevating. Imagine someone who's addicted towards their true path in life. They're fully immersed into it, but they chose that. You think that addiction is harmful, or is it actually helpful? Because again, remember, addiction is going to be there. You're not going to be able to transcend that quick. So until that time being, when you become an ascended master, if you ever get to that point, use that addiction towards your actual purpose, your actual goal in life. Don't think of it, oh man, I don't want to be addicted to anything, because that's a fallacy. Some of the things I talk about on this channel, the main channel, with the people I work with one-on-one on the consultation calls, private Patreon community, are hardcore truths that you kind of might not want to think of. You think addiction is always bad, always this, always that. I'm here to challenge those perspectives, because they challenge my perspectives, and then I use it towards my advantage and see, wow, man, this completely shifted my life towards the right trajectory. And I'm continuing to use this because, look, man, either addictions can be coping mechanisms for you, or they can be fuel to the fire of the divine spark that resides within. Let me say that again. Addictions can either be coping mechanisms for you on this material plane of existence, or they can be fuel to the fire of the divine spark that resides within you. Addicted towards becoming a divine vessel for God. Addicted towards your growth on the mental, physical, and spiritual planes. Addicted towards making the right decisions that you know might be hard right now, might be difficult in the present, but will give you more rewards and more fruits for your labors in the back end. That's the way you need to approach this. Not by saying all addictions are this and that, because that's, again, a coping mechanism. I don't want to be addicted. I want to be that. Sorry, bro. You are going to be addicted, whether you like it or not. So do you want to use it towards your advantage, or do you not? You want to be in that state of the material world is making you addicted to certain things as a coping mechanism. So whenever you're hungry, you cope with fast food. Whenever you're horny, you cope with that energy being built up. You go to the Pornhub. You go to Tinder. Every time you get angry, you want to use the material world for you to cope with just lashing out as a tantrum. Or do you want to flip that and actually use that energy being surged throughout your body from whatever emotion is? Because remember, energy and motion, emotion, that's all it is. Every time you feel something, it's just the byproduct of that energy wanting to be expressed. What do you use that energy for? What have you constantly made yourself addicted to in that form of that outlet for that energy form? What is it? You've done it to yourself. You've unconsciously done it to yourself, most likely, because society kind of warps your point of perspective in that shape and form. But you have the choice, you have the conscious ability to transcend beyond that. It all starts with the mind, and it all starts with understanding the cold, hard facts. When you first accept that you are a natural born addict, that's when you can actually start using the tools that I laid out for you within this video. That's when you actually can start to realize, oh man, I'm the one who can choose my addictions, or be the one who is abused by my addictions. Let me say that again, man. This is, hopefully you guys taking notes, bro. I've been dropping bars on bars. Either you're the one that gets used, you can choose your addictions, my bad, or you can be the one that gets abused by your addictions. It's all on you. You unconsciously are doing it right now. So why don't you shift it towards a conscious mind and actually choose what you want to be addicted towards that will actually be fruitful for this journey of life. So to kind of wrap everything up so you understand how to do it, go about it on a practical sense, what is those things, those constant repetitions of that desired version of you, that higher self version of you, visualize it, that he constantly partakes in? That's what you need to replace your addictions with. When your mind starts feeling fulfillment, I promise you this, your soul, your spirit yearns for fulfillment. Your physical body yearns for pleasure. That's why when you only feed the body, you feed the senses, your soul always feels empty. And for you guys that watch this channel, who watch the main channel, who are in the private Patreon community, who do these one-on-one consultations and are in my programs, you are further matured, so you're more sensitive to understanding this stuff. That's why you feel unfulfilled on the spiritual level when you might have a great life on the physical level. You might be eating great food. You might be having all this pleasure in your life. But there's a feeling of emptiness. However, like I said, if you make the goal fulfillment, you shift those addictions towards things that are fulfilling rather than just pleasurable, you're gonna get the pleasure. So you get the best of both worlds. You get the best of both worlds. You make that the pinnacle, fulfillment, the soul, the spirit. Remember, the highest plane of reality is the spiritual. The mind is neutral. The mind is the mediator. The mind does whatever the spirit tells it to. If the spirit is the dominant kind of thought factor in your mind, or it will listen to whatever the animalistic or lower self will do. Remember, I like to always think of it like this. People always say the devil on the shoulder, the angel on the other shoulder. I like to think of the higher self and the lower self. The lower self is connected more to the animalistic side of the body, and the higher self is connected to the higher aspects of the spirit. When you keep indulging in degenerate habits to please the animalistic side of you, the lower self starts to raise up its volume, that voice in your head, to the point where this inversely goes down, and this eventually gets muted, and this is the only thing that you hear. However, you can flip that and you start to let the higher self volume start to raise and increase, and the lower self starts to decrease, the voice, until that becomes muted. Guess who's in the middle of that? The mind. This is the physical body, and this is the spiritual soul aspect of man. The mind is you in the middle listening to that. Whichever one's a more dominating one, whichever one has a more volume towards it, is the one that's going to choose, is the one that's going to influence the mind, which is eventually going to influence the physical reality. Remember, wherever the mind goes, the body will follow. But the body can have just as much kind of input and effect on the mind itself, depending on the psychological programming that you have. Are you programmed by society to just feed into the addictions that will make you more degenerate? Or are you going to finally start reprogramming your mind, where you start to put in these systems where you become addicted to the things that will fulfill and feed your soul? The mind will do whatever it tells you to do. It can either be a horrible master or a beautiful servant. That's a quote from Osho right there. A very powerful quote. The mind can either be a beautiful servant or a horrible master. Is it gonna be serving your spiritual evolution by listening to the higher self and being addicted to those things that are actually going to produce your journey towards the right direction? Or is it going to listen to, or is it going to be a subservient to the lower self, the animalistic self, just being focused on pleasure, never getting true fulfillment? Again, if you focus on true fulfillment, pleasure will be a byproduct, bro. I promise you that. You're going to get the best of both worlds. People always think that they're sacrificing these things that they think are pleasurable for a life of just trash. Oh man, I don't want to quit this. I don't want to quit that. I don't want to quit. I'm not telling you to quit anything. I'm telling you to replace it for something that's better, something bigger. You're going to get more pleasure by doing it. I promise you, the fulfillment's going to make you feel way better. It's going to make you feel actually on the right path in life. You're going to feel like you're actually tapping into your true essence. Be addicted to that, man. When you're addicted to that, everything else will fall into line. Everything else will fall into line. You're not going to ever watch another video talking about how to truly overcome your addictions. I promise you this. After this, if you truly understand what I'm saying, you truly understand, matter of fact, what I'm saying, and actually put into motion, see how it works, you're never going to need another video like this telling you how to overcome addictions, because again, we laid it out flat and clear. You cannot overcome addictions. You can't quit addictions. You can only replace them. You only can switch and swap it, never flop it. Some real deal game right here, man. This is some real deal game that I wish I got sooner, but hopefully my experiences throughout my journey have been helping you along your own journey, giving you the sauce, giving you the game to accelerate it and make it more streamlined. Because that's all this brand is. That's all the messages I'm trying to give you guys. Tools to uncover the true knowledge and the true answers that you have within. And this is one of the most potent ways of doing that. Shifting your perspective on addictions and making them towards your advantage rather than your demise. You can be addicted to the right things, bro. Stop connotating addiction to bad, to evil, to this, to that. It's like taking someone's who always wore sunglasses on everywhere he went in life, finally taking them off. All these colors are there. You've just been blocking yourself to what you can quote unquote be addicted to and what that can actually produce towards your advantage. Everything in life is like that, man. It's what you choose. Again, the mind is neutral. Whatever you program it will actually come to about. Some people can look at this thing and be like, that's evil, this is bad, blah, 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 blah. Some people are like, damn, man, that's sick, I'm gonna try that. Let the mind be neutral, but let the higher self be the guidance. Let the inner guru, the inner guide be the guidance. Because again, I'm just giving you all the tools. The real answers all reside within you. I don't know your fucking answers. I don't know what you're supposed to do in life. I don't know any of this stuff. I don't know what you should be addicted to. I don't know who that kind of higher self version of you, your desired reality version of you is. You know it. But I'm giving you the tools for you to not only find that out, but also to actually make it into your current state of reality. Change that identity to your current state. And addictions are one of the most powerful ways to do that. Again, some people think addictions are bad, but some people can think that addictions are good ways to actually improve their lives, to actually become the best version of themselves. And that all resides with your perspective on how you go about it. Not me, not anybody else, but the way you go about it. So there it is, man. It's been your boy out here in the field, in the flesh, dropping out that game so you guys can make these gains. And I'm out of here. Peace.